Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Our Issues Birmingham. Today's guest is Ted vonCANNON. Hello, Ted. How are you today?
Well, good morning or good afternoon, Tommy. Good to see you.
Well, for those of you that don't know, and I'm going to try to be able to spit these words out, Ted is the Executive Director of the Jefferson County Economic and Industrial Development Authority. Is that it?
That is very good. Very good.
Those are a lot of words. It has an acronym, but it's easier just to say the words, in my opinion. Ted, what a wonderful spot you have. I don't think a lot of people in our community know that that position exists and what that position incorporates in our community as far as it relates to bringing businesses to our community. But tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up in this position.
Well, after graduate school at one of those schools up north, the University of Tennessee, I articulated over to actually the governor's office in Tennessee and got involved in various bureaucratic agencies with the governor's office. I served actually three governors there and growing in responsibilities, but most of my concentration the last few years was in economic development. I was very much involved in the recruitment of the Saturn project, which you may remember was General Motors' effort to compete in the more low-end car level, and also involved in Nissan, which was the first foreign company to ever successfully operate an automotive plant in the United States. At the end of Governor Alexander's term, I was asked if I would be interested in looking at the position here in Birmingham, which was the Metropolitan Development Board, which was a lead agency at that time to recruit businesses to the metropolitan area of Birmingham. And obviously that was quite a challenge for me coming from Tennessee. But as we looked at it, we thought we would be in Birmingham 6 or 7 years, but 34 years later, Birmingham has become home, and I had the opportunity of working and recruiting businesses, industries for 21 years, and then I retired and had some other opportunities, and this position opened up. So some of the board members suggested I might have an interest in doing that, and so after 2 retirements, came back to this board. I've been here almost 11 years now.
Yeah, I noticed. So, go ahead.
Most of my work has been involved in the recruitment of industries, the latter part of my business career, I suppose you could say.
I noticed in looking you up before we had this interview, so I know a little bit about you, that we had 83 applicants, but only 1 interviewee. So you must have knocked it out of the park, I suppose.
Well, I suppose that is having longevity, being in the community and working with a lot of the business commissioners and businesses here allowed me to be able to know a lot of people, and them, I guess, conversely knowing me, and I was fortunate and flattered enough that they asked me to come on board.
Is your work primarily, aside from recruiting businesses to the area, but is it in association with the county commission, the city government, the outlying county areas? We have 34 municipalities in Jefferson County. I'm assuming your recruitment goes beyond metropolitan Birmingham.
Well, the recruitment is, of course, is worldwide when you talk about the concept of recruitment. However, our Jefferson County Economic and Industrial Development Authority, our job is to monitor, maintain, and market our industrial properties that are in Jefferson County. We, although the name says Jefferson County, we are really a private entity. I would suppose you would say quasi. Our feedstock for financial support of buying properties comes from the county. However, the county commissioners appoint a board. That board is a private board, actually, and they maintain the direction of us as staff members. So while we do a lot of issues works within the county, we are primarily involved in industrial properties for the county. The
Um,
county staff uh, looks to us as they do not have an industrial entity agency within the county.
okay. And when you say us, how many people are we talking about in your universe?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite
How
understand.
many individuals are we talking about are employed under your direction or authority?
We only have 4 employees. That is one of the great gives us flexibility. We contract all of our engineering work and our legal work and some construction work throughout. It gives us a lot more flexibility to move much quicker than, well, be careful how I say this, bureaucracy of government.
No,
And that is some of the reason that we were created so we can move quickly.
yeah, don't be bashful about that. We all deal with it. Uh, I know you used to work with the city of Birmingham, and I'm not trying to be critical of the city of Birmingham, but there are times when things are hard to advance. Sometimes hard to advance the ball for a variety of reasons. It either gets hung up in legal department, hung up in finance, hung up somewhere. So I want to talk about the hurdles that you have to overcome and what you actually have to do to get those companies into our area when we come back from break. I also want to go into these industrial parks that I guess are titled to the authority that you are director of and that you're able to market to these other companies outside and globally to come to our area. This is our Issues Birmingham. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Do not go away. Welcome back to our Issues Birmingham. I'm talking with Ted vonCANNON of the Jefferson County Economic and Industrial Development Authority. So you've talked a little bit about what you do, how you came to be where you are, who you have to work with in government. Take us through just briefly how you go about recruiting a Mercedes, a Nissan, a Honda, or, we can talk about the future, but we'll maybe save that for the last segment. How does one go about making that happen?
Well, Tommy, we have some very, very strong allies that we work closely. Actually, we're the one that provides the property, the sites, and we work in a very close working relationship with the BBA, which is the Birmingham Business Alliance. We work also very closely with the state. Greg Canfield's office, and we're in constant contact with those folks just about 3 or 4 times a week. Let me say that, as you said, this doesn't just happen overnight. We are primarily the first domino in terms of making a product available. The county has provided us over the last, I guess, 20 years to buy property and develop that property and make it a high quality, very competitive industrial site. We compete obviously with the Charlottes, the Nashvilles, the Memphises, and we have got to have a quality product, because when someone comes looking for a location in the Southeast or our part of the world, and that's where we compete. We don't much compete with the West Coast or Chicago. We compete with our sister states in the Southeast. We've got to have a quality product. So over the years, the county has provided us the funds to buy, my goodness, about 2,000 acres over a period of time. Maybe not quite that much, but very close to that. Just last year, we bought about 750 acres. About 20 years ago, we bought about 720 acres. The old part of the park, which is in the western part of the county, began to fill up. In fact, we probably have only 2 decent lots left. And then last year, we bought the other 650 acres, and all of that property is now sold to various businesses, And those businesses, new businesses alone, will create about 1,300 jobs. I think it's important to know that we are not in the real estate business. We are in the job creation business. And at the end of the day, we are absolutely trying to bring quality jobs that pay good wages for citizens of Jefferson County. Now, obviously, there'll be workers from all around the area. But I will say this, I'm a real believer in private enterprise. Private enterprise could have and would have done this. They would have a long time ago. Obviously, if government did not get involved, Nissan, obviously in Tennessee, but Mercedes, Honda, Hyundai would not be here. It takes a partnership between state and local governments.
So two questions. When you say you buy property, who are you buying it from? Like who owns it?
From private individuals,
Okay.
finding sites of 200 acres or more in Jefferson County that is developable is a real hard task.
And it's my belief that I think you call them parks. There are two of them that I'm aware of.
We really have an old park and new park that are classic industrial parks. We also maintain more of a business park. It is a community of businesses that are located on Lakeshore, and these are electronic type operations and businesses.
And you're talking about out Lakeshore, West Lakeshore, out toward 150.
That is correct.
Yeah, because there's big clumps of land out there, I noticed. And I know there's some businesses that are developing. I think some of these businesses are probably feeder businesses to the larger corporations, maybe do parts or are in some way affiliated with that. Just my thinking.
New developments that are warehouse distribution facilities
Right.
that are located in this area, and those have just happened within the last eight or 9 years. We're located before you get going west on Lakeshore.
And when you say you got to have government involvement, it brings to mind tax incentives. So in order to lure these people, you got to give them something in the short term with an eye toward the future and the long-term benefit to the community. Am I wrong about that thought process, or is that the way business works?
Well, Tommy, let me say I'm basically a fiscal conservative in many ways.
Me too.
However,
it's the only thing I'm conservative.
You've got to have the tools, and we are in a highly competitive business. And obviously, we're competing with other communities throughout the Southeast. If we do not have it properly placed with the proper incentives, I guarantee you we'll lose every time. But it takes a combination of a quality site, team working together, and I think I can't stress that enough. Working with all 32 cities are partners of ours. If we have to use any of their properties or sites, the BBA again is a very important part of our group, as well as the state of Alabama. So it's really a teamwork of creating quality jobs.
And you left out of our competitors when you were talking about them was Atlanta. Everybody always compares Birmingham to Atlanta and where we would be if we had held on to Coca-Cola. But that's another story for another day and another segment. So don't go away. This is Our Issues Birmingham. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. Ted vonCANNON is our guest. We're talking about industrial growth in Jefferson County area and bringing jobs to our area primarily through that vehicle. So we've talked about some successes we've had, and we've done well. I think it's a big coup to have Hyundai. I think Mazda's up in Huntsville now. We've got Honda in Lincoln. We've got Mercedes out in Vance. So we got some great things going with the automobile industries. Do we have any things on the horizon that you can talk about that we're trying to get?
Let me say that I think we do have some special opportunities. Um, if you take a look at what's happened in this state, a generation or two generations ago, the textile mills provided hundreds, thousand jobs or so in Alabama.
North
Where
Alabama, yep,
they're all gone. They're all
yep.
gone. And now, what would we be without the auto industry? If you think about 70, 80, 90,000 jobs are associated. And of course, where we're
Wow.
located within Birmingham, we're within about a 3-hour truck delivery time of 11 automotive uh, assembly plants. We've got to parlay that. However, uh, what's happening in our community is a true challenge. If you really know Birmingham and Jefferson County, how the terrain, we're probably the hilliest city of our size in the South that we compete with. And finding sites for us is a really, really difficult future. And that is where we've got to expand our way that we go about. However, we do have sites still left in our current park, and I think the future is very bright. We have got terrific activity, and while I cannot talk about anything specific, it's the way a month and a half ago I could not have talked about Smuckers, but they are coming, and we are still working on future projects. I guess it's the best way to say it.
Well,
And they're good. They're good projects.
I know your parks are strategically located to the interstates for sure. Um, I always wonder what obstacle our airport, which is a very nice facility, but I think underutilized, just Tommy talking, is it a hindrance for you in attracting businesses? Because we don't seem to have the ability to go from A to B without stopping somewhere else?
Yeah. Now, there's an interesting question. I wish that we
It's a pet peeve of mine.
flight. I'm sorry.
It's a
Direct
pet.
flight.
It's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, I understand. When I moved here, Nashville had just become a hub for American Airlines. And I remember you could fly to, I think, 17 cities from Birmingham nonstop. And at that time, you could fly from about 80 from Nashville nonstop. Now, American Airlines hub, it's gone. And one of the toughest issues I think for us in airline service is I wish we had nonstop service to the West Coast. We do not have any service to any city. I guess west of Las Vegas.
Las
maybe.
Vegas is it.
So that is that nonstop flights are very, very important. Is the best way to say that.
I agree. And the same would be true, especially with our international businesses, such as Mercedes, to be able to get to Germany, for example, some part of Germany, to me would be a great asset to be able to offer these companies, the BMWs of the world, the Mercedes of the world, the West Coast would.
Certainly don't want to speak for the airport authority, but I know there's been some real efforts and commendable efforts of trying to increase that service. But that is very, very important. I agree with you, Tommy. We have called on companies in certain cities in the Midwest and Northeast and said, well, now how do we get to Birmingham? Well, some of those cities you fly to Atlanta and come over, and that gets really a little bit old.
Yeah.
But you're right, air service is important.
I'm going to go ahead and answer this question because I read about it in the paper. How competitive is Huntsville to Jefferson County? Are you connected?
I think there's a great opportunity for us to work very closely with Huntsville. I really, really do. I know that may sound strange, but with their biomedical efforts, what we have here is certainly, we are the financial, business, and commercial center for the state of Alabama. No question about that. Sometimes I think we need to act like it too. But our opportunities to work and not compete, and there are a few occasions in which we compete, but not very often do we compete with Huntsville. Our opportunities there, I think BBA should probably address that with you maybe on a future effort. But that is, they're great. They're located between Birmingham and Nashville, and they certainly have their place, sir. I tip their hat. They've done a very fine job, but we can work with them.
In our last half minute, in the future, what can you tell our viewers they can do to help you make things better for your job?
Well, first of all, if you don't feel good about yourself, how are you going to present yourself to someone? I think this community is a good community. As I told you, I thought I would live here about 5 or 7 years and I had another job or two in me. I've been here 34 years. Birmingham is a wonderful community. It's a very livable community. And while we envy some of the growth of some of the other communities, I think we're doing just fine. And if we keep a good, steady course, we will progress at a level that will make everyone happy. Feel, as Abraham Lincoln once said, people are just about as happy as they make up their mind to be. And I do believe that.
Very good closing comment. Thanks for being with us today. This is Our Issues Birmingham, Ted vonCANNON. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.